You want to see a real fucking American fight this little Chechen fucking whore in American soil? This is a fight that needs to happen. It's just is a clown, dude. I mean, you want to talk about a clown? You fought once in the middleweight division. You're moving up to fight an easier fight, and that's what he's doing. He's moving up to fight an easier fight. 205 division soft as fuck right now, so he's like, I'm going to go fight Yuri. It's like it just. You're picking a really easy path. You're not a double champ.
Is that if that guy that showed up tonight shows up in that fight, it will be much more difficult a fight for the great Khamzat Chimaev.
After dismantling Anthony Hernandez in a performance that felt less like a fight and more like a warning shot to the entire division, Sean Strickland didn't waste a single second soaking in the applause. He turned cold, stared straight down the camera, and fired a direct challenge at Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title, making it clear that this wasn't hype, wasn't noise, but a calculated declaration of war aimed at the most feared name in the weight class.
He said he tapped you out, that's why you hate him.
Bro, I made him quit training. Witnesses in the audience. Where's Eric at? I made him quit. No, dude, we're doing positional grappling, and he fucking positional grappling. All right, start on my back, and I was like first round, I let him fucking choke me because it's like no one gives a fuck. Let me tell you about this little bitch. I'll tell you. When I walk into a gym, do you think that I go find the little weakest man? I say let's spar. I say no. I go find the biggest, baddest mother. I'm like, hey, I want to spar you. Every time Chimaev would walk in the gym, he would pick the smallest, lowest level pro and say, but oh, he looks like my opponent. You're beating the fuck out of it. And this is a true story. You guys could back me up, my team. He would pick the smallest guy. Chimaev's a fucking bully. And if you notice what he does in the division, he just runs and fucking hides. Oh, now I want to go to 205 and fight fucking Yuri, who's not even the fucking champ, dude. You just run and fucking hide. You did it when you train with us, and you're doing it in the fucking division.
Sean Strickland didn't just mention Khamzat Chimaev. He unloaded on him, framing their potential collision as a ticking time bomb and one of the most explosive fights the division could possibly offer, insisting this isn't just another contender shuffle but a high-stakes reckoning fans have been craving. He argued that people want something raw and undeniable on American soil, a real war between dangerous names, not another forgettable clash between lesser-known fighters buried on a card nobody remembers a week later. According to Strickland, this is the kind of matchup that shifts momentum, that forces the entire middleweight landscape to hold its breath, because when two volatile forces like this collide, something has to break. Yet even as he pushed for it, he cast doubt over whether it would ever receive the spotlight it deserves, hinting that behind the scenes there's hesitation, politics, and pure chaos clouding the path forward. He suggested the fight needs to happen for the division's credibility, almost like it's overdue, but questioned whether it would actually land on a massive pay-per-view stage or get lost in scheduling limbo. That uncertainty only thickened the tension, turning what should be a blockbuster showdown into a looming question mark, hanging over the title picture like a storm no one seems willing to step directly into.
You have obviously made the case for the Khamzat fight. I feel like it's probably one of the biggest fights in the division.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody who wants to see two little go fuckers go at it. You want to see a real American fight this little Chechen in American soil. This is a fight that needs to happen.
Yeah, I hate to spoil it for you. I don't think you're going to get on the White House card.
I mean, dude, who knows, dude? You know, I mean, no, dude. Maybe I got to go hang up on Epstein or some shit. I guarantee you, dude. Chimaev would go to a fucking island. That motherfucker's going all day long, that dirty little...
Khamzat Chimaev didn't flinch at Sean Strickland's call-out. He fired back with a smirk, telling him to calm down and reminding the world that he already dismantled the man who beat Strickland twice, twisting the knife with a sharp, Habibi, calm down. I destroyed the guy who beat you twice, American, turning the exchange personal in seconds. But as the tension escalated, Daniel Cormier stepped in with a chilling warning, suggesting this version of Sean Strickland could be a completely different animal and that Chimaev might be walking into a far more demanding test than he expects if Strickland shows up at his absolute best. According to DC, a fully focused Strickland isn't just durable, he's suffocating, the kind of pressure-heavy puzzle that even Israel Adesanya, at the peak of his dominance, struggled to solve. Cormier made it clear, if the Strickland who showed up recently appears in a Chimaev showdown, the so-called great Khamzat could find himself in deep waters, because that relentless style drags opponents into uncomfortable territory round after round. He also pointed out that in the Dricus du Plessis fight, Strickland didn't look fully locked in, almost distracted, slightly off, hinting that a sharper version could shift everything. Meanwhile, Strickland dismissed rumors of Chimaev eyeing a move to 205 as absurd, questioning why someone who already captured gold would chase what he views as an easier path, warning that if the UFC even considers it, the entire situation starts to look chaotic. He argued fans aren't demanding that fight at all, and in his eyes, it shouldn't even be on the table.
What did you think of Chimaev's 205 tweet?
Guy just is a clown, dude. I mean, you want to talk about a clown? you fought once in the middleweight division, you're moving up to fight an easier fight. And that's what he's doing. He's moving up to fight an easier fight. 205 division soft as right now, so he's like, I'm going to go fight Yuri. It's like, you're picking a really easy path. You're not a double champ. You're not even, you've won a belt once. Like, if the UFC grants that request, it'll be a clown show, and I hope they don't.
Does it frustrate you at all, like hearing things like that, like seeing, you know, how long you fought in the middleweight division, and even a guy like Dricus that fought so many times and, you know, took on the best guys in the division?
Well, I mean, I hope the UFC tells him to go himself. That's the right thing to do. I think, but again, it's like, who wants to see Yuri? Is Yuri going to be the belt, the next one find the belt? It's bullshit, dude. He doesn't deserve it. He's only fought for the belt once. The UFC should can it. No one wants to see that stupid.
Khamzat Chimaev wasted no time responding to Sean Strickland's claim, making it crystal clear that he isn't rattled, isn't second-guessing, and certainly isn't backing down, instead doubling down on his intent to prove, once again, why he remains the most dominant and feared force lurking in the middleweight division, a man who thrives on doubt and turns every challenge into a statement.
That you're terrible for the division and he's the only guy out there to beat you. What do you say to that?
Well, that's just I said. You got all this stuff on my show. We'll see.
But you guys trained together and you talked him out a few times, right?
We did spar a lot before, but that's why he's so mad.
Fair enough. Well, this guy choked him out as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm talking a lot of shit about Sean. I'm not.
Now Sean gonna talk about that thing as well. So.
Okay.
Sean Strickland boldly declared that he might be the only middleweight capable of cracking the Khamzat Chimaev code, framing their potential collision as a seismic, division-shaking fight and insisting that stylistically he presents the one puzzle Chimaev hasn't truly solved, doubling down on his confidence with the claim that he has the tools, the pressure, and the mindset to drag the feared contender into deep, uncomfortable waters. He even stirred the pot further by hinting that fluffy Anthony Hernandez might possess sharper wrestling fundamentals than Chimaev, a subtle but calculated jab designed to chip away at the aura of invincibility surrounding the undefeated wrecking force. For Strickland, this isn't reckless talk, it's a calculated assertion that while others freeze under Chimaev's forward blitz and suffocating grappling, he sees openings, sees moments, sees a path to derail the hype train. He painted the matchup as more than just another title eliminator, describing it as a massive, must-see showdown that could redefine the hierarchy at 185 pounds, and emphasized that he genuinely believes he has the durability, discipline, and defensive awareness to survive the early storm and turn the tide. In his view, most contenders break under that kind of pressure, but he doesn't plan on breaking. He plans on exposing.
I'm probably the only one that could beat Chimaev. I honestly think Fluffy's a better wrestler than Chimaev. Like, I think pace-wise, style-wise, I think over 5 rounds, Fluffy's probably a better, but then stand-up, I think Chimaev might take him to stand-up decision. So, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird what the UFC did with Chimaev. You brought a guy in that fights once a year who's like Madonna, who probably gets like, you know, I mean, how much money does that dictator give him on the table? Like, the guy doesn't need to fight, dude. He's best friends with a warlord, you know? Like, he doesn't need to fight. Dude gets gifted G-Wagons. So you have somebody who, like, he's just going to sit on that belt and wait until they force him to fight. And then, like, he wanted to fight Nasser Dean or something, whatever the guy's name is. He's like, oh, I don't want to fight you, my brother. Like, what are you talking about?
Sean Strickland didn't stop at calling Khamzat Chimaev out. He accused him of freezing the entire middleweight division in place, blasting him for prolonged inactivity and arguing that when a supposed contender fights only once a year, the belt collects dust while the rest of the roster is forced to wait in limbo. According to Strickland, that kind of schedule doesn't build dominance, it creates stagnation, with Chimaev sitting on the sidelines until pressure mounts high enough to drag him back into action. He claimed the division feels clogged because everyone is circling the same question mark, unsure when or if Chimaev will actually step into the octagon. Strickland went further, suggesting that obsessively chasing the belt isn't even the smartest financial move, insisting that staying active, taking consistent fights, and keeping momentum rolling is far more lucrative than banking everything on a single title opportunity that may or may not materialize. He also mocked what he described as a suspicious pattern of mysterious injuries surfacing just as Chimaev nears competition, hinting that setbacks seem to appear whenever the spotlight intensifies. In Strickland's view, that cycle of build-up, with withdrawal and delay doesn't reflect a dominant force, it fuels uncertainty and frustration. And until Chimaev strings together consistent appearances, Strickland believes the division will remain stuck, waiting on a storm that keeps threatening to hit but never quite makes landfall.
So, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird what the UFC did with Chimaev. You brought a guy in that fights once a year who's like Madonna, who probably gets like, you know, I mean, how much money does that dictator give him on the table? Like, the guy doesn't need to fight, dude. He's best friends with a warlord. He's just going to sit on that belt and wait until they force him to fight. But yeah, no, the middleweight division, man, like from a pure money perspective, you would make more money not fighting for the belt than you would fighting for the belt. Say Chimaev goes and fights Nasruddin in 6 months. Well, let's say Chimaev sprains his pinky like he normally does. Now he takes another year off. So it's like you're off for 2 years. The belt isn't even like, it's not even in my brain anymore. I don't even think about it. Like, I'll make significantly more money.
On the other side of the storm, Dana White erupted at critics trying to cancel UFC fighter Sean Strickland over his comment about Bad Bunny unloading on reporters he believes deliberately fish for outrage instead of covering the fights themselves. White accused sections of the media of setting traps with celebrity-driven questions, arguing that bringing up figures like Bad Bunny in front of a fighter known for blunt, unfiltered answers is less about journalism and more about manufacturing headlines. In his view, the backlash wasn't organic. It was engineered, sparked by baiting prompts designed to provoke a reaction and then amplify it. He made it clear that if reporters stopped steering conversations toward pop culture landmines, there would be far fewer controversies to weaponize. Rather than focusing on rankings, matchups, and performances inside the octagon, White suggested some outlets chase viral soundbites and feign outrage when they get exactly what they were fishing for. He pushed back hard against the cancellation narrative, framing it as another example of critics attempting to police personalities instead of analyzing competition. To White, the pattern is obvious. Ask an explosive question, capture the explosive answer, and then spin the fallout into a bigger spectacle than the sport itself. And as tensions rise, he insists the responsibility doesn't fall solely on the fighter. It also lands squarely on those who keep striking the match.
During media day and things like that, that doesn't affect your booking of him, right? You are still happy to put him in those?
It's a nightmare. But you guys don't help. Asking them dumb, ask dumb you're going to get. What'd you think of Bad Bunny? What'd you think of the Super Bowl? Get out of here. You kidding me? Yeah. So when you talk about what Strickland says, you guys like to push the buttons.
Meanwhile, Sean Strickland stunned many by shifting from chaos to humility, showing deep, almost disarming respect for Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez, praising not just the fighter inside the cage but the man beyond it, calling him the definition of what a real man should be. Strickland admitted, without sarcasm or edge, that Hernandez represents the standard he wishes he could reach, saying, "Fluffy is the definition of a man. To be honest, he's the man I want to be. He's married, he's a father, he's a hard worker, he's a bigger man than I can ever hope to be." A rare moment of vulnerability that cut through the usual bravado. But while that respect simmered, the division's future twisted in another direction as Khamzat Chimaev expressed interest in moving up to face Alex Pereira, even as Pereira himself eyes an even more dramatic leap to the heavyweight division. The stakes escalated quickly, and Dana White made it crystal clear that if Pereira chooses to chase greatness at heavyweight, the UFC will stand firmly behind him. White praised Pereira as a reliable force who answers the call whenever the promotion needs him, emphasizing that no matter which path Pereira selects next, whether defending, moving up, or reshaping another division, the UFC is prepared to back the move and turn it into reality.
Alex Pereira teasing potentially going up to heavyweight. Do you want to see him compete at heavyweight, or do you want to see him defend the light heavyweight title in this next match?
Well, he's one of those guys that always steps up, does whatever we need him to do. Whatever that guy wants to do, we would work with.
Michael Bisping didn't hide his excitement at the thought of Alex Pereira chasing a third world title, painting the scenario as something almost surreal and warning that Pereira's sheer size and terrifying knockout power would pose a legitimate threat to nearly anyone standing across from him. Bisping emphasized that when a striker carries that kind of precision and fight-ending force, every exchange becomes dangerous, every mistake potentially fatal. He even raised doubts about whether Cyril Gane could endure a striking heavy war with Pereira, questioning if Gane's defense would hold up once the pressure and power start crashing in. According to Bisping, this wouldn't just be another super fight, it would be a high-stakes gamble where one clean shot could rewrite the division in seconds. He suggested that if Pereira manages to capture a third belt in a completely different weight class, it wouldn't just add to his resume, it would elevate him into rare territory, cementing his legacy among the most accomplished fighters the UFC has ever seen. For Bisping, the magnitude of that achievement would shift the historical conversation entirely, transforming Pereira from a dominant champion into a multi-division television phenomenon whose name would be etched alongside the promotion's most elite legends.
The man is gigantic for 205. He would probably walk around 240 pounds. He could put a bit of muscle on, walk around at 250 and go knock the out of almost everyone at light heavyweight if they can't take him down, right? And what would Cyril Gane do? Cyril Gane would stand there and go toe-to-toe. The man's a kickboxer. Send him to Dagestan for 20 or 30 years and forget all about it. He still ain't going to shoot a takedown. And you're going to be jumping around all over the place. Pa, 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 pa. But you know, he's very light on his feet, you know, and he's very French, and he's got the flair, and he's got the ballet, and he's got the pa, 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 pa. He's got the punch you in the face. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? I've lost the plot. I've been sitting here by myself in this room, losing my goddamn mind, because Alex Pereira is going to fight for a third belt. The only person to ever do it. That will mean he is, by far, the most successful person to ever step foot in the UFC's hallowed.
Meanwhile, Dana White made it clear that he prefers Khamzat Chimaev to stay at middleweight and focus on defending his title first instead of immediately jumping up in weight, arguing that true champions establish dominance by protecting the belt they already hold before chasing glory in another division. He questioned the logic of moving up without first solidifying control over the current class, emphasizing that a reign only gains legitimacy when it's backed by successful defenses against the best contenders standing in line. In White's view, building legacy means clearing out the division, proving consistency, and showing that the championship isn't just won once but maintained under pressure from hungry challengers. He suggested that while ambition to conquer multiple weight classes is admirable, timing and discipline matter just as much as bold moves. For him, Chimaev's priority should be strengthening his grip on middleweight, shutting down doubts, and establishing undeniable authority before even entertaining a leap to another division.
Khamzat Chimaev fight at welterweight. We see him fight at middleweight. Is he someone that if he says, hey, I want to fight at light heavyweight, we'd see him fight at light heavyweight?
I'd like to see him defend his title at at a weight first. Yeah, I'd like to see him defend his title before he talks about jumping around from, you know, you're going to keep going up in weight divisions without defending. Yeah. I'd rather see him defend.
Khamzat Chimaev continued to fuel speculation about a potential showdown with Alex Pereira, pointing out that Pereira never directly responded to the challenge and suggesting that if someone else steps in first, the landscape could shift before that fight ever materializes. He made it clear that his ambition goes far beyond just defending one belt. His goal is to become a double champion, to chase legacy-defining opportunities, and to position himself for the biggest fights available. Chimaev left every door open, stating he could return to middleweight, stay put and dominate, or even move up again depending on how the situation unfolds, showing that his path isn't locked into one division. He downplayed the importance of preserving an undefeated record, implying that perfection on paper doesn't matter as much as securing monumental matchups and headline-grabbing events that elevate his status. For him, the real focus is creating massive moments inside the octagon, testing himself against the strongest names, and building a career defined by risk, reward, and championship gold rather than cautious record protection.